Hello there and welcome back to a new duo rule update video, which I am very unprepared to make and wasn't even going to make because of how unprepared and how kind of overwhelmed I am with things that aren't the duo rule project. But I'm here and I'm going to try to film a brief, hopefully, summary of what's going on, what's happened since last time, and so on. Towards the end of April, which how has it already been a month since then? How is time moving so fast? How is it almost June? I do not understand. But towards the end of April, we had our last duo rule check-in stream or update stream, whatever we call them. We've been doing this for a year and a half almost at this point, and I don't remember what we name anything except the book, which doesn't really even have a name. So anyway, we had an update stream and we talked about a few different things. We started replotting again from the beginning because we, Marks and I, just the two of us, had started replotting the beginning and realized that things needed to happen faster because Lid was taking way too long to get started and Niam was going through too many things in no time at all. So we had to change the pacing a little bit. And so we kept plotting that and we got up to the point of the Inferno Valley, which we changed some things there. In the previous drafts, they do the fire trial together, even though they don't really know that. Lid gets guided by Niam. His fire trial is guiding her by changing the ground and using wind power and whatever else he does to steer her away from the flames. But we realized that maybe that isn't the way it needs to happen and we wanted to change it up. And now, if I recall, I put my phone to charge and my computer's off, so I'm just gonna wing it. We decided that we're instead gonna have Lid fend for herself. She's still gonna get separated from Tev. That happens the same way. She will still be hallucinating, but we wanted to tie this together to a few different things. First of all, the hallucinations. Down the line, when she meets the current ruler, Octavian, he will be using illusions. He is doing that to make people think that he is better, cooler, fancier, more well off than he actually is. And she, Lid, will be able to see through these because of the hallucinations she got at this point in the quest. We don't really know how, at least I don't remember how, because she is poisoned by poisonous plants in her plant trial and that's what makes her hallucinate in Inferno Valley. And I don't think he poisons her because he still wants to use her blood, question mark, her power, her something to rejuvenate himself, to regain his powers, to something like that. I very specifically remember us talking about leeches like a year ago when we were plotting this. So I don't think he will poison her, and the effects of the poison that she gets poisoned with in Inferno Valley will have worn off 3 weeks later or whatever time in the future that this happens. But either way, her being poisoned here in Inferno Valley will help her see through his illusions down the line. Illusions, hallucinations, yes. But we also talked about something we discussed somewhere between starting this project and now, something last year, where we talked about tying the different elements and the different trials to virtues, and we've gone back and forth on that. Not all of them make sense, not all of them are being used, and so I was a little bit against that because I either wanted to be each element has virtues or none of the elements have virtues. I don't want it to be like, oh, fire does but air doesn't. And we talked about, back when we talked about virtues in the very beginning, we said that you can gain or show or acquire, I don't really know how that was going to work. You can get different virtues from the same element. Fire doesn't necessarily have to give you bravery or show that you're brave. It could also be cleansing. It could also be fighting back. It could also be like, yeah, none of these are really the same realm of things because bravery and clarity could be, but not necessarily. I'm doing great. So we went back onto that a little bit and Lid and bravery happened. She's going to be alone in the fire trial. She will lose Tev during the plant trial. She spends her fire trial hallucinating some horrible, horrible, horrible things that I won't get into here. I've already talked about it in the streams. and I will talk about it again, and one day you will read it because this is getting published. I have decided. I'm not giving up on this project, but she's gonna be alone, like really alone, and very traumatically, very suddenly being alone, like becoming alone. And so that had something to do with bravery. She's gonna have to ground herself, which is funny because she hasn't done her ground trial, which I'm also gonna talk about in a minute. She will have to sort of stand on her own 2 feet for real for the first time. She's already a little bit stood on her own 2 feet because she has left home, but she's had Tev with her and now she's completely alone, and also everything is on fire. So I don't remember exactly what we said. Should I look this up? Yes. Did I look it up? Yes. Do I remember what I read? No, I don't. But she's gonna have to figure things out on her own. She's gonna have to she's gonna have this panic and be hallucinating, and she's gonna have to reach a point of calming herself down enough to see patterns, which that is sort of her trial is not don't get burned to a coal, to a crisp, don't get burned. Instead it's more of a figure out stuff, trust yourself, get out of this, use your brain. And we talked about these hallucinations, and a thing I think could be really, really cool as a movie or as a televisation, you know, watching it, not reading it, but it could be cool reading it. I just have to be cool when I write it. We talked about the difference between what is actually real and what is hallucinations. There is definitely real fire going on, but there's also fake fire going on. There is fake people. The people she sees are not there. And we talked about the difference between these 2 fires. We talked about should the real fire be warm, because it is, and the other fire just looks like fire but it isn't warm. Or is the real fire, you know, yellowy orange, the way you think fire, and the fake fire is green, and or something like that. And to the reader or the watcher, this will become apparent earlier to them than to Lyd, because Lyd in a panic describing these green and orange flames, the reader might go, flames aren't green, at least not typical fire flames are not green, therefore something's up with this. And eventually Lyd's brain will sort of kick in and she will start to overcome the hallucinations. I want her to still see it all. When she sort of starts rationalizing that, wait, this is green, this is orange, this is fake, I don't want that to go away. Or if it's hot and cold, or hot and, you know, room temperature fire in a forest. I don't want her to, like, I don't want that to be, oh, and then everything becomes clear and she sees everything perfectly and everything works out. I still want her to see this as flames, even if they're green, even if they're not warm, and have to just trust herself in this pool of hallucination that these don't feel warm to me or these look green to me, and I have to trust and believe that that is true so that I can pass through them. That was very long and rambly. Apart from that, in the current draft, she also finds what she believes is Tev's body. Now, there are a few different explanations to what this could be. Either it's someone else's body, completely, because Tev doesn't actually die in Inferno Valley. Spoilers. Or it's a rock that she just thinks is Tev's curled up body, or something like that. And I don't think we quite settled on that. Another suggestion was also her finding something that belongs to him, something he always wears, something he always carries, that hasn't burned. So made of rock, made of metal, something like that. Another suggestion was also that she finds a body as she is hallucinating, but then realizes that she's hallucinating, or goes to touch it and her hand goes through it because it's just an illusion or hallucination. But then we also move on to her ground trial, because I had some issues with her ground trial. I didn't feel like it was enough. Quick recap, her planned trial is walking through the woods get thicker, the woods vegetation changes, there are now strange plants and there are vines, and the vines reach out and grab her and Tev. On top of them grabbing her and Tev, as they grab, thorns. And the thorns get in their skin, and that's what injects them with the poison that makes them hallucinate. That turns into fiery hell, basically. And then after that she runs away from the fire, she gets out. She has a small flower from one of these vines in her pocket. She puts that in a hole in the ground, collapses and falls asleep, and then the next day a vine is growing from it, and that was her ground trial. I didn't like that. I didn't like the ground trial was so nothing. It was her just going, oh yeah, I'm carrying this flower for no particular reason. I'm just gonna bloop and drip some water on it and that's it. Potentially if it was her last water, that would have had a little bit more of an impact, but it still didn't feel good. So now we're introducing every 80s and 90s kid's fear, which is quicksand. And I'll do a little bit more research on quicksand, but the way we talked about it in the stream was that quicksand, it's the whole thing of the more you move, the more stuck you get. And she, to get out of this, will shift into smaller and smaller forms because that will buy her time. If she is a human in a pit of quicksand and she shrinks into a cat, the space that was taken up by her human form will start filling in, but it won't be tight against the cat form. And we are gonna have her shrink that way. We're gonna have her do a little bit of an Alice in Wonderland thing, I guess, but without the drink me bottle or the eat me cookie or whatever it is that shrinks her, and just have Lid shift into smaller and smaller animals and eventually get out of the quicksand. I think that's smart. Quicksand, everyone that I know believed that quicksand would be a really, really big issue in our lives. I have yet to encounter it. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I want to include it. So that's sort of what we have going on for Lid now. And for Niam, we also changed his fire trial so that he might be helping Tev. I don't remember the details. I hope Marcus will talk more about this in his video. I will leave that link down below and in the corner. But things are changing, which is good. However, I have started rewriting because Marcus and I realized in the last update videos we did that both of us, but particularly me, or both the characters, but particularly Lid, needs to change their beginnings. So I have started rewriting. I had hoped to get very far. I had hoped to get at least to the mainland. I have written 32 words, 2 lines. And they're fine, but they're not really as much as I would have liked. So my plan between now and Saturday probably does not involve a lot of writing. Hopefully by the time this video goes up, the Thursday stream tomorrow, I will spend some of that writing, but I'm making no promises. There is a lot going on in life in general right now, and we will see how I feel about the writing at that point. So I don't think I will have written more before the stream on Saturday. If I have, that's great. If I haven't, that's fine. But I hope that when we have had our stream on Saturday, that I am excited. I hope to not put the writing off for like 3 weeks post the stream. I want to write on Saturday and or Sunday while what we've talked about is still fresh. Now what we're going to talk about on Saturday is further into the story, because I believe we're going to keep plotting where we left off in the last stream, i.e. in Further Valley-ish. So that is way further into the story than I am. But I hope that I will still be excited about this project and be like, oh, I'm in a writing mindset, I'm in a creative mindset right now, and I want to work on this project, and not put it off for weeks and weeks and weeks. But that is my plan. I hope that I write earlier on after Saturday's stream and it works out, and that I enjoy myself, and that I get words out of it, and preferably that they're good. I will have a link down below to Marcus's video, as well as the Saturday stream, Saturday the 28th of May at some sort of time. It will be linked down below, so you can go and turn the reminder on and see what time it is. And I'll also have a link up here to Marcus's video as well. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with another video soon, so I hope to see you then. Bye!